Hi, my name's Liv, I crochet and knit, and today we're going to go through all of my wearable pieces. There are a lot of pieces, so bear with me as we go through these. If I remember the patterns, I will let you guys know what pattern I use for each of these. If they're my own patterns, I'll let you guys know which patterns they are so you guys can find those. And we're going to go ahead and get started and dive into this huge pile that I have of everything that I've made. To start, I'll talk about the sweater that I have on right now. This is a design that I came up with. If you guys are familiar with airy waffle knits, I made this sweater in the same oversized and baggy style as an airy waffle knit sweater. They're just basically lightweight pullovers, and I was like, I think I can crochet something like this. So that's what this is styled after. I made this with a variegated yarn. I want to say it was Big Twist, and I wear the heck out of this. This gets worn all the time. It's very comfortable and just very cozy. It gives me cozy vibes, and I don't have a pattern for it up yet, but it will be going to pattern testing towards the end of the month, so keep an eye out for that. Next up is another one of my sweater patterns. It's the Fall Fanatic sweater, and I made this in the fall with what is now discontinued yarn, which sucks. But I love it. It's very comfortable, it's very soft, it fits very well. And it's just kind of a classic. If you guys have seen any of my TikTok videos or my Instagram videos, you guys are familiar with this. You've probably seen the pattern up on my shop if you follow my shop. But this is just a classic. It gets a lot of wear and I love it. This next piece is Granny's Cabin Shrug from Woolly Mama Crochet, and I had the honor of pattern testing this when it went out for pattern testing. And I love this. I love the heck out of this. This gets worn a lot by me. It's constructed with granny squares and slip stitch ribbing, and Shelby actually has a free pattern on her blog, so check her out on TikTok, Woolly Mama Crochets, and you can get the free pattern for this. My next piece to show and tell is going to be the Stony Shore Pullover. I can't remember exactly who the designer is, but I found this pattern on Pinterest for free, and I made it in this nice, like, kind of heathered black yarn. Very big, very comfy, just kind of your run-of-the-mill crochet sweater. Other than that, the fit was well, it was very easy to crochet, the pattern was very easy to read. It does get worn sometimes, but it's a very heavy piece, so this is like reserved for very cold winter days. Now we have a pattern that I designed that is very near and dear to my heart, and it is the Pumpkin Puff Pullover. This was the first pattern that I made that really got any form of traction, and I've sold, I think to date, almost like 60 copies of the pattern, and I absolutely love this. Absolutely love it. This was a huge hit for Thanksgiving. My family loved it. I loved it. I put a lot of work and a lot of time into designing this, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. If I were to make this again, the only thing I would do differently was I would make the second version maybe in a sweater vest. I think a sweater vest version of this would be really, really fun. But I love this. This is a 10 out of 10 in my eyes, and it always will be. Now I have a sweater that I've posted a lot about that I really don't love, that you guys really do love. And it is the Halloween cookie sweater. To preface, I love the pattern, and the pattern designer did a fantastic job on this. This pattern, I believe, is on Etsy. This is where, at least where I bought it on Etsy. The problem that I have with this is that it's made with cotton yarn, and when I saw in the pattern that it was made with cotton yarn, I thought that maybe I should do acrylic yarn just so it would fit and drape a little nicer like I wanted it to, but I was like, no, I'm gonna do it in cotton because that's what the pattern calls for, and I had just gotten into crocheting from written patterns at the time, so I just bought the recommended yarn, and in hindsight I would have worn this a lot more if I would have just gone out and gotten the same colors in acrylic yarn. But she's beautiful. It is probably one of the prettiest and most put together sweaters that I have, but it just doesn't get worn because I don't like cotton yarn for sweaters. I've never liked cotton yarn for sweaters. I don't even like cotton yarn that much for tank tops. So making it in a full sweater was pretty bold of me, knowing that when I went in, but it's definitely a fan favorite with you guys. You guys are gonna start to see my little pile over here just grow and grow and grow throughout the video. I have our first cardigan of the day, and this was a self-made cardigan. I didn't really have a pattern associated with it. I may have like a vague like instructional video up on my TikTok on how I made this, but it is just a giant blanket cardigan. If you want to see what it looks like on, check out my shorts, because I have a few videos on my shorts that show just how big this cardigan is. I mean, it is huge. It is literally the size of a blanket. It's basically a blanket with sleeves. I love it. It's cozy, it's wonderful, and it gets worn a lot, especially now because it's cold out. And it has pretty neutral, you know, brown tones, so it goes with a lot of the stuff that I have. But this is my blanket cardigan. Another cardigan for you guys. This is a duster style Hexagranny cardigan. I bought all of the colors very intentionally for this and put it together in kind of like a scrap yarn-esque colorway when I crocheted, and I really love this and I wore the heck out of this, but I made it very true to like an adult small size and made it a little more fitted. And looking back, I wish I would have made it a little bit bigger. And you're saying, Olivia, why don't you just go ahead and put some more rows on it? Well, I used all of the yarn that was used in the sweater in other projects, so I don't have the yarn anymore, but I really love this. It gets worn once in a while, but it's not my favorite anymore, just because I wish I would have put more length on the end of the sleeves and a little more length in the front here. I wish I would have maybe put another row or two on the Hexagrannies when I was making those. This is another sweater that I think a lot of you guys are going to be familiar with if you follow me on my other social media platforms. This is my first iteration of Olivia's Oversized Pullover. By far my favorite piece that I've made, probably the best fitting piece that I've made for myself too. And I love this. I cannot express to you guys just how much I love this sweater. Between the turtleneck and the cropped fit and the balloon sleeves on it, it's just wonderful. And this is one of my patterns, and this is available in my shop. Now we have another classic. This is my first ever Hexagon cardigan that I made. This could be a really good still frame. This might be the thumbnail for this video. Pause for thumbnail. This was a classic. I wear this all the time. Very much made with love, and I learned a lot when I made this. This was like the biggest piece that I had made to date when I made it, and it felt very ambitious to me. And it is made with all red heart yarn actually, which is like the craziest part to me, because looking back now, I'm not a huge fan of red heart, but this whole thing is made in red heart, and after I steamed it and blocked it, it felt so much better than like the typical scratchy red heart yarn that you're used to. All right, this next one is technically two separate sweaters, but they go together, so just bear with me. But the Christmas cake sweaters, I made a cropped one for me and then a full length version for my boyfriend. And I loved these personally. I really love these, and it gave me several other ideas for Christmas sweaters next year. And the biggest takeaway I guess I had from making these is that I want to make Christmas sweaters every year. I think every year I'm going to come out with a different Christmas sweater pattern. But these ones are styled after the Little Debbie cakes. There's a cropped version and a full length version in the pattern. Next, I have a little knit tank top. I knit this over the summer. My best friend and I went to a drive-through weekend, and I was like, I need a project to take. Why don't I knit a tank top? And it's just a regular free-handed, like loose-fitting tank top pattern, and I put ruffles on the bottom. Did rapid increasing at the bottom to make the ruffles, and then split obviously for the shoulders, and just made I think it's like 3 stitches wide of knitting for the straps. I didn't really care to take the time to do like I-cord straps like I wanted to. I was like, I want to finish it this weekend, so I'm just gonna do it. This is a kind of a controversial piece for me because I love that the way it looks, but the ruffles on the bottom just don't fit with every type of outfit that I make or pair of pants that I want to put on with it. But I really do love it. I really do love the colorway, and I have more of this yarn, so I think I might make another tank top like this, just without the ruffles on the bottom. Another cardigan for you guys. I don't remember the pattern name for this, so I'm sorry to anybody that wants a pattern for it. I'll find it later on and put it in the comments if anybody's interested in it. But I actually made this whole cardigan with scrap yarn that I had from other projects. I had a lot of this gray left that's making up the bulk of the cardigan from a blanket that I crocheted for my dad. And I had this like orangey red, the white, the yellow, and then there is blue down in the bottom left over from other projects, and I put all of them into this sweater. And I think I love this so much because it has so many pieces of different projects I've made wrapped up into one cardigan, which I think is awesome. The pile's getting really big right now, guys. It just keeps going up and up and up and up. Next we have a tank top. I haven't done a ton of tank tops. I've only done like 3 total tank top style tops, but this one was just self-drafted, made out of double crochets, not even the best shaping in the world, but I just wanted a tank top, and I was away at a lake for a weekend, and I was like, okay, like I think I can whip up a tank top, and I think we were there for 4 days, so I was like, I can do this in 4 days. But here she is, just a pretty average cropped tank top made with KNC cotton. I don't remember the colorway. She gets worn. I just usually have to wear something over top of her because, as you can kind of see here, the stitches are pretty big, and I didn't think they were going to be this big because I originally used a 3.5mm hook when I made this, so I thought that the stitches were going to be a little bit more closed than they were, and they're not. So if I were to make another one of these, I would probably use like a 2.5, maybe a 3 to make this again, but it is cute. It gets worn for what it is. My first knit sweater of this video is the first knit sweater I actually ever made, and I used the step-by-step sweater pattern from Florence Miller. It's a very popular beginner sweater knitting pattern, and I love how this turned out. You can tell in the sweater right here where I picked up another ball of yarn that was a different dye lot, and I learned a lot about sweaters and knitting them when I made this piece. And this is my most worn knit piece, by the way, this sweater. It gets worn all the time, and I think it's mainly because it's in such a neutral color that it matches everything. But one thing I did take away from this is to clean up my decreases, and you guys can kind of see throughout here they're a little messy, the tension's not so great. It has been blocked and that didn't really fix the problem, but I don't care, I still wear it all the time, and this is one of my all-time favorite pieces. Next is my most recent finished knit, which is the Alpine Zip sweater from Spring Stitch Knits. I found this on Etsy when I was trying to find a sweater pattern for a knit zip up, and I didn't really have anything particular in mind. I just wanted to knit a zip up sweater, and I saw her pattern and I was like, I can do that. It seems pretty beginner friendly, I can do that. And it was very beginner friendly. One thing that I think is fun is the method of increasing is different from a traditional raglan, so you get these fun little eyelets throughout the sweater. But I really love this. It's very warm, and I made this from 100% wool yarn, which was the first full wool piece I ever made. So that was a really exciting milestone for me. If I were to do this again, I would put German short rows in the back. I didn't for the first run through of this. I hadn't done German short rows before, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, so I didn't. But I do think I'm going to end up eventually knitting another one of these, and I will do the German short row shaping in that version of the sweater. I'm getting really tired of talking. I filmed another video before this, and I'm like gassed right now. I also have this knit sweater vest, which turned out surprisingly clean, considering it was my like second or third knit wearable piece, and I had only done just raglan sweaters before that. But I made this piece when I decided that I wanted to start making like a handmade wardrobe of staples. Specifically, I know I make a lot of fun pieces, but I wanted to start knitting some staple pieces that I could keep in my wardrobe for like years and years and years. And this was the first piece that I made when I decided to go through and do that. I kept going out to try and buy a big oversized black sweater vest, and I couldn't find one, and I was like, you know what? I think maybe I can make one. And I did make one, and I love this, and it fits really, really well, and it wears really nice. It does have a little bit of pilling. I don't think you can tell so much in the video across the front here from my seatbelt. So one thing I did learn with this, because I believe this is made with Caron Simply Soft, is that I do not need to be wearing a seatbelt over it. That's not super great, so if I'm going to be driving for a long period of time, obviously this isn't something that I want to wear because it is going to pill. But I do love this, and it fits really well, and it looks really clean considering it was one of my first knit pieces. We're going to pause again for some thumbnails. Resuming. So this fun little knit sweater is actually very near and dear to my heart because my best friend bought all of the yarn for this, and it's all made with wool blended yarns, which is really, really cool. And I just haphazardly kind of went through and put different stripes in different places just to kind of make it fun. And I wear this once a week. This gets worn a lot. I mean, I wear a lot of my stuff a lot, but this like exceptionally gets worn a lot. It's very lightweight. It's made with weight 3 yarn, and it has this fun little wide neck on it. So when I wear it, it usually sits like off of my shoulder, which I love. I love off the shoulder tops. and it was very quick to work up. I did still do it in like a raglan style, as you can kind of tell down through here. It has the raglan shaping, just with a very wide neckline, and I cannot express to you guys how much I love this. I am not spending more than 10 seconds on this piece, but this was a failed mesh knit tank top that's reversible. So now this next piece is a fun one. This is a grandpa sweater inspired scrap crochet cardigan, and I really like how this turned out, but I made it a size smaller than what I wear. It was pretty accurate to like the size that I wore at the time, but it's made in between like an adult small and an adult medium, and I prefer tops to fit like an adult medium, and sweaters I like to fit larger, and this is pretty fitted. And it just doesn't get worn because I don't like how it lays on me. But it was a really fun piece and I enjoyed making it. It took me a while to make. I kept going back and forth when I was making this, like working on it a little bit and then stopping and then working on it and then stopping. But I am glad that it's done. I will say that I'm glad this piece is done. Look at that pile. That pile is huge. And I still have more pieces to go. The next piece is another semi-failed crochet piece, considering the size of it, okay? Like, it looks good, but this was my granny stitch pullover. A lot of you guys on TikTok saw this, but I made this very, very big for the size that I needed. It's too long, it's too wide, and I don't really have the energy to take it apart. I honestly have been back and forth on putting this on my shop and then keeping it for myself to take apart and kind of resize and refit. So I don't know what's going to end up happening with this piece specifically. It's made with cotton yarn and it feels wonderful, and it's actually really nice for the summer. I wore it once for some photos and then wore it out to lunch, but I'm back and forth. So you guys let me know, should I frog this and resize it, or should I list this on my shop? This is going to be my last knit sweater of the video, and this was free-handed. I used the step-by-step sweater pattern as kind of like the base when I went through to make this, but the majority of it's free-handed. The one fun thing I did was I did a different type of increase. I left more stitches in between the increases when I made this. It's very long, it's very flowy, but I did oversteam it a little bit on the front, which is part of the reason this doesn't get worn a lot. It's because it's oversteamed on the front, and it has a very distinguished like section right in the middle of the front of the sweater where you can see that I oversteamed it. Now this next sweater is the only other pattern test that I did for clothes this year, and this is the Star Sweater from Tina Creates. Hi Tina. But I love this. This gets worn a lot. This is a daily driver for me, especially if I'm gonna go run errands or if I'm gonna be sitting around the house. This gets worn a lot. I love the colors. I actually used this variegated yarn, was yarn that I thrifted, and it got used in the sweater, which was like really awesome to me to be able to start putting some of my thrifted yarn back into sweaters and projects. So I love this. I love the size of it. I love the fit of it. I love the star. It's just so fun. All right, to end this video, I have my biggest crochet wearable fail to share with you guys. This is her. She's something. Definitely something. I never even finished weaving in the ends on this because by the time I had finished the ribbing, I was like, and I created a monstrosity. This was supposed to be a Hexagranny pullover, and if you can see by the size of the sleeves on this thing, she ain't getting worn. These are very, very tiny. I have to force my wrist through these. Not only is this sweater entirely not my color, it is just ill-fitting. It's beyond oversized. I wanted it to be oversized, but it is significantly bigger than what I intended it to be. It's a lot of things, but something that I wear frequently is not one of those things that I would use to describe this. So this is another one that I will probably be taking apart and balling the yarn back up to use in the future because it has not gotten worn once since I finished it and tried it on and said, wow, I screwed up here. So there we have it, guys. Those are all of the wearable pieces that I have made in the past 2 years since I started crocheting and knitting. If you guys want pattern links to any of these specific sweaters or cardigans or tank tops that I showed in this video, comment below and I will get those to you. And as you guys want those, I will post them in the description of the video. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today, and let me know if you think I should frog any of these that were kind of fails and start over, and let me know which ones were your favorite. All right, bye.